your pronouns, what your role is at OHA, or which media agency you are with, into the chat at this point. Thank you. All right. Looks like we are still gathering. I'm going to do just a quick cursory count of folks who are here. Okay. At this point, I think we have 11 folks, so let's just wait a couple of more minutes so that we can make sure that we have quorum for the discussion today.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Good to see you.
Morning, Steve. All right. We have a few more folks arriving. I think that we have now gotten to 15 folks. I think that we are getting close to.
Is this the bright colors you're talking about, like that?
All right. I think we're in a good place. Walter, would you be willing to take attendance for us?
Sure will. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you.
Happy Friday to everyone. Going to start at the top of my list with Amy. I think I saw Amy. Hi, good morning,
Hey.
Amy.
Morning, all.
Good morning. All right. Blue, I see Blue. Hi, Blue. Okay. Carlos. Caroline.
Here.
Hi, Caroline. Good morning. Dharma.
Hello.
Hey. There you go. All right. Good morning, Dharma. Erwin.
I am here.
Hi, Erwin. Henry. Okay. Hubert. Good morning, Hubert.
Good morning.
All right. Karen.
I know that Karen was out of town. I'm not sure if she'll be able to make it.
Okay.
But Carlos did say he was coming. He just might be a few minutes after the
Sounds good.
the hour.
Okay. Keisha. See Keisha. Good morning, Keisha. Lana. Oh, yes. Lana. All right. Leticia.
I'm here.
Good morning. Okay. Melinda. I think I just saw Melinda. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morgan. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Nicole.
Here.
Good morning, Nicole. Onisha.
Here.
Good morning. All right. Ron.
Ron's here.
Good morning. Sabrina. I think I see Sabrina.
Good morning. I'm here.
Good morning. All right. And Zeb.
Hi, I'm here.
Good morning. All right. Steve is here.
Good morning, everybody.
And Reginald is not going to be able to make it. Angela, we have 15 plus Steve is 16. We met quorum. Back to you.
Delightful. Thank you, Walter.
Mm.
And thank you so much to everyone for moving your schedules around and making room for this meeting today to get things organized and figure out the next steps. Today, Keisha is our tri-chair lead, Thank you for taking this on, Keisha. I appreciate it. I will pass to you to talk about what we're going to talk about today on the agenda.
Good morning, everyone. So we're gonna have OHA updates. We're gonna have a presentation of the draft granting process. We're gonna talk about the creation of 2 subcommittees. And we're gonna have a presentation of the draft grant formula and also review OAC action plan over the next 2 weeks. And also, before the meeting is over, we need to honor our previous tri-chair, Sabrina. So with that, I will, and welcome our new tri-chair, Blue, even though she ran the meeting yesterday, the other day. I'll turn it back over to Angela.
Okay. Thank you, Keisha. All right. So I know that you all asked for an update on the process with the rubrics, and I just wanted to give you that update. But I think what I will do is put up a set of slides so that you can both see and hear what I'm talking through. If you will give me just a moment, I will share my screen. All right, and okay. So we have a number of folks with us today from OHA who are going to be assisting with explaining some of the details of what Keisha talked about a moment ago. Again, here is our agenda. This is what we're going to be covering for today. And the rubrics. So in total, we received applications from 333 individual entities. So the council decided to do 2 reviews per application, which gives us a total of 666 application reviews that need to be completed. Of those, we have at this time 324 rubrics complete. So we're almost halfway there. Of those, 184 were completed by members of the council, and another 140 have been completed by OHA staff. At this point, we are anticipating that we will be receiving quite a few more by Monday and another set by Wednesday. So the likelihood is that we will have back a good chunk of what we have left to finish. And we will still need to, when we receive those back, check them over, make sure that they are complete and correct, and potentially do some technical assistance with some of the OHA staff who have completed them but maybe left a few things off. So we'll be working on that over the next week to get those complete and ready to go. But at this point, we have already gone through 2 counties, Morrow and Baker, were voted on for recommendations in subcommittee. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Upcoming for the next couple of weeks, we have ready to go Umatilla, Union, Harney, Gillum, and Grant counties. Those are all the reviews for those counties are complete, and they are ready for the council to review to make decisions. We also have four more counties. Polk, Klamath, Lake, and Jefferson counties are all 1 review away from being complete. So we anticipate those coming in the next couple of days. I will pause here and ask if there are any questions that anyone would like to raise at this point. And if not, then we can move into our discussion. Hello, Ron. Yes.
Yeah, I was just curious. It says Polk, Klamath Lake, Jefferson's are one review away from being complete. Do we have an estimated time for when they would be complete?
Those should all be complete by, I'm anticipating by Wednesday of next week, we will have those reviews back. And we should be able in short order to check the rubrics, make sure that they are fully complete, and add those to the list of complete counties.
And just one follow-up.
Yes.
Who's determining the completeness of the rubrics?
So that has been centralized to the Measure 110 team. We do have a set of staff who are assisting us with technical assistance for the OHA staff reviewers, but the final decisions on completeness are in the Measure 110 team. So myself, Jessica, Sydney, Gina, and Jeff are all looking them over and making sure that they're complete. Any other questions at this point?
You might need
All
to
right.
mute, Dharma.
All right. So I will move to the next slide. And I believe that we are now going to discuss a potential process for the OAC to make the final awards determinations. I believe that this is a discussion that Leticia Sains will be leading. So at this point, I would pass over to you, Leticia, if you are ready.
Thank you, Angela, and good morning, council members. Really happy to be here with you all this morning. So this timeline is basically there were a lot of different options that were presented on Wednesday. This is the timeline that you all wanted to focus on, and it's just made a little bit bigger. So hopefully we can all visually see what the process would be. The boxes that have the dashed outline are boxes that are either the key council decisions or work that the council is doing with the two subcommittees. I want to just pause and see if anyone has questions, comments, feedback about this process.
Yes, Ron.
Yeah, just wanted to reiterate my concern about those arrows going all the way to September and October and November. It still seems to me that the resources that OHA is dedicating to get the rubrics completed could be focused in the months of April and May. So the council is making decisions in April and May in order to get letters out by June 1st. It just seems to me that that is possible based on the amount of resources that OHA could bring to bear on this process. And I'm just wondering, what is it that OHA can do differently to get all the rubrics completed into the council in the months of April and May?
Thanks, Ron. And I think that in terms of these arrows, part of them are designating that this is going to be an ongoing process. And I think that once we start this process rolling, we will have a much better sense of the timing of how long this would actually take. And to your point, I think that, our goal, as you can kind of see in our timeline, is that the rubrics would be completed, that the second review would be done by mid-May. So then it would be getting those rubric, making sure that the two subcommittees are rolling, you all have talked about meeting pretty regularly, trying to figure out the cadence of how long those decisions are taking. And at that point, it will be a process of getting the award letters out. So it's possible that it could take this long, but I also think we will know more when we get rolling. And we're hopeful that it would not take that long.
Real quick, I wonder if John was replying to Ron's question.
Yeah, thank you. In theory, depending on, again, how quickly our staff gets the information reviewed, and then how quickly it's able to be reviewed by the subcommittees that we're talking about here, we should be able to get the letters of intent to award out by early June. That's what this is saying. The negotiating and contracting piece and first counties funded is all the process that takes place after the letters go out. And that's what would have to go out several months, probably, depending on, given situations for different counties and organizations that would be participating in the burns and negotiating those contracts or grant agreements with them.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's the letters getting out in June, early June, 1st of June is kind of what I'm focused on. And my hope is that our decision-making process results in us being able to land on that date in early June, on a date, preferably June 1st. But if you say the first week of June, it's really getting the letters out would be really helpful to providers, as I understand it.
Okay, Blue, and then Sabrina, and then Morgan.
So I just first wanted some clarification on that second review. Is that does that mean that after the subcommittees have made their decisions, there's some other review process that happens? I'm not totally clear on what that second review means.
Thanks, Blue. And I think that is a visual mislabeling on my part. That's simply the second review that Angela and others have spoken to about, that OHA is doing to make sure after an application has been reviewed and turned in, it's the technical assistance process if it's needed, the review to make sure that the rubric is complete. So that probably should be right underneath the first review visually, and I apologize for not having it that way on the slide.
Thank you. That's a lot clearer to me. And then I just I was curious if the intention is to have two subcommittees meet concurrently at the same time. And if not, I mean, I guess the council can discuss this, but if not, we may, if we just have one subcommittee and we need X number of people of the subcommittee in order to vote, some of us have more time than others, and we may be able to actually move this along faster if we just have a certain number of one subcommittee meeting to make these decisions. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you.
Thanks. And we are going to be, I think the very next topic is going to be subcommittees. I want to mention too that one of our plans and action items for next week is to really get into the details of the negotiation and contracting process in next week's conversation. So just as a FYI in terms of what we're hoping to discuss with you all next week.
Sabrina?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I understood, John, that when he said that the award letters can go out the 1st of June, and that is our point of our mission, like that is feasible and that can be done.
Yeah, we can start as soon as we get approval for given counties, we can start sending out award letters. So if we're doing that, sequentially over time, as quickly as the subcommittees approve counties, we can draft up the letter and send it out. It would just take a couple of days after those approvals. So, because we're more or less just plugging information into a form letter. So again, depending on how fast, one, we get the information back to the subcommittees, the reviews, and then how quickly the subcommittee votes, those are the main dependencies in terms of getting this stuff done by early June and the letters out.
Thank you. Morgan?
Yeah, thank you, John. Can everybody hear me? I've been having audio issues. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to, I mean, that would be great, first week of June. So I don't talk about this very much, but like my partner is on a Measure 110 funded job and she is facing layoffs. So I need to know, am I going to be able to pay my rent? Because what I don't hear is that Multnomah County is anywhere near completion. And what I don't hear is that the Multnomah County burden contracting process is going to be simple. And so I assume that those, behemoth counties are going to be towards the ends of those arrows. And if so, my household is going to have a 50% reduction in income. I already work 2 jobs. What else can I do to pay my rent? So I just sometimes it sounds like when we're talking about this, we're talking about theoretical, abstract things. And this matters. This matters to my household, not just and so many other people who are on access to care funded jobs. And I don't know, that's it. Sometimes it just feels like we're sort of forgetting the human impact of this stuff that we're talking about. I do not know if we will be able to pay our rent.
Steve, you had a reply?
Yep, if I can get off mute. So yeah, we are very focused on the urgency to support our current access to care grantees while this process is going on. As you know, we were able to continue funding through the end of June with the current access to care grantees. And what we're willing to do is take a look at any grantees that might run out of funding during this process who did apply to be part of a burn. So we'll be working with the council and the current grantees to see what additional measures that we can so that we can support ongoing work. So can't make promise at this point other than to really look at those current grantees and help ensure continuity of care for community.
Amy.
Morgan, I get where you're coming from. I worked as a person who was funded under a grant. And when the grant ended, my job ended with like maybe 2 weeks notice at one time. So I get the stress. I also get the stress that we're under these timelines and everybody's worried about these timelines. But what I'm seeing here is that, we make our decisions, we get stuff done. These award letters go out by June. If this is the one, let's see, yeah, that's the first, letters go out, they do the contracts, all that stuff, right? So what we're looking at is then these people have to get their burns going and they've got to get all this stuff going. So what we need to do is just calm down and focus and get this going and stop hypothesizing about what could or should have, would have, could have been. We need to get this done because not only, jobs are at stake, but people are dying. So let's get this done.
Anisha.
I just have a quick clarifying question. So even though Multnomah County will probably be done last, the tri-counties, because they are the largest, that doesn't mean that the money's going to run out, right? We're still going to have money to fund them.
I'll just jump in really quickly. Thank you, Anisha. Yes, with the funding formula, there is a set aside in this model for each county so that it wouldn't be that the earliest funded counties would get all of the money because the set aside would be set ahead of time by this council.
Thank you for that clarification. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And just remember, we keep saying this June 1st date for award letters to go out. And if we vote on this structure, letters can go out as soon as the rubrics are complete. So I don't know why we keep going to this date, but they can go out way before that, as long as we get the rubrics approved and we get some authority. So I think that's where we need to get in this decision-making process so we can move the bar forward. And I don't think I see any more hands.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next slide then. So this is a slide around approving the process that we just reviewed. We just did a sample motion for you all. One of the things that will be needed is the name of each subcommittee, however you want to designate, 1 and 2 or A and B or some more creative naming convention. And understanding also how many number of members will be in each subcommittee. And then the other part of this is potentially voting to approve the 2 applications. They were Morrow and Baker counties as recommended by the original subcommittee, keeping in mind that the original subcommittee gave their approval for these 2 counties, but the council did not vote to approve these 2 counties, which is the process, the current process, for lack of a better phrase. That's the process that we're in right now until this new process is voted on. Needed for quorum and decision making, and then how often each subcommittee will meet. We have a recommendation that the subcommittees meet once next week and then twice weekly after that. So these next two slides are kind of a combination. We can definitely make some of these detailed decisions first, and then if you all want to work on the motion, we definitely need a name for each subcommittee.
Amy has a hand up.
Do you think that just meeting twice a week is going to be enough? Do you, because I don't think twice a week is going to be enough. I think 3 times a week at least, because just to get this moving faster. I don't think twice a week is going to be enough.
Yeah, I'm down for 3 times a week.
Definitely. And I think we need 2 subcommittees. I think one needs to tackle the tri-counties, which probably has a bulk of the applications, and the other subcommittee tackles the other ones. That's just a suggestion. Blue and Sabrina have their hand up.
So yeah, again, I am very concerned that if we have 2 subcommittees, it might end up slowing us down. I think our original subcommittee, when it was 1, we were at around 11 when we stopped the process. And if we had that we needed 7 members of the subcommittee, some people could take 2 or 3, 4 meetings a week. Some people could take less, but it's going to give us more flexibility. And we can't really have a subcommittee focused on the tri-counties because those rubrics aren't done right now. And so that one subcommittee would just be doing nothing until those rubrics are done. That's, I wonder if it might make more sense to also see how many council members can commit to being on the subcommittee at this point. That might give us a better idea of how many people we're starting with, how we can divide them up if we need to.
I just wanted to say that I know that I'm available for 3 or more subcommittees a week. And yeah, I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think a lot of council members are very dedicated to hopping in this process and making things move faster. I think we can move.
Would it be helpful to gather a list of names of folks who are interested and available to meet multiple times a week? and then kind of see where we are with that number.
But do we have time to be doing all that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we need to get this done right away. We don't have time to be.
Well, we got to vote on one subcommittee or two, so we need to know. And I'm thinking, and
True.
I'm hoping we getting two subcommittees. I don't want to be staggered with one. Sabrina, then Carolyn.
Yes, I'm sorry if I'm slowing up the process, but I had a question that referred to a previous slide. Did we say that we're doing the county set aside prior to actually doing the rubrics, or how did that fit into the process?
So, and we are going to talk about the formula a little bit more in depth after this, but the idea is that the council would vote on this process and also vote on a potential formula. Not sure that the formula, like, we're going to give you examples of the formula today, but I'm not sure about the vote happening today, just depending on timing. But the idea is that county set aside would be decided ahead of the rubrics being approved. So if we, if per the formula, Baker County gets $1 million, that's set aside, and we know that that's going to happen ahead of whether or not whatever applications are approved. Did that answer your question, Sabrina?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
All right, Carolyn.
Just wants to make sure what we're agreeing to. So we are looking at completed applications where every box in a rubrics is checked off or has some comments in it. So we're just going to be reviewing what was completed and to come to some type of agreement within the subcommittee. If we agree with the recommendations, I need to know exactly, I guess, a little bit more about what we're doing and then the time commitment, because sometimes we'd be better off just getting 2 days and lock ourselves in all together and just get it done than having to carve out time almost every week. And so that's so unpredictable, and it's very hard for us to plan if we don't know exactly what we're going to be doing. And we have to come to some type of agreement where once those meetings are scheduled, they cannot be changed. And so I just want some clarity in terms of who knows the process and what we're getting ourselves into this next go round.
I'm happy to answer as best I can. And Caroline, please let me know if you have additional questions, or other folks might want to chime in as well. So in this model, there are 2 subcommittees, and they're meeting, simultaneously, meaning maybe not necessarily at the same day and time, but in a week. One subcommittee is maybe meeting Monday morning, and another subcommittee is maybe meeting Wednesday afternoon, and or maybe more than, people have talked about meeting 2 or 3 times a week, but they would be meeting separately from each other. They would be reviewing the completed rubrics that have been completed by OHA and council staff and reviewed by OHA, and they would be looking at completed counties. So if and the counties would not be shared between the 2 subcommittees. So if we're talking about subcommittee 1, maybe next, they maybe be looking at Klamath County or a whole list of counties for the week, and subcommittee 2 would be looking at another list of counties for the week. And that would continue until the subcommittees have given a yes or no on the applications within each county. And after that yes or no, and the entire county was complete, then there would be the intent to award letters. And that would be, we would just keep doing that until we had gone through all of the applications, all 333 applications. I will say that I think one of the benefits of starting to do this next week, and also why next week it can't just be, 2 days and everyone stays in a room and gets it all done, is because not all the applications are ready to be reviewed. But if we do start and as counties are ready to be reviewed, then we can start to get, to John's point, we can start to get those letters out as soon as possible.
Sabrina.
Yeah, I was just wondering, so do you think that it's feasible that the other 133 applications will be done by the time we're reviewing the ones that are already completed?
We do, given the current process that we have recommended. And I think that Angela spoke to earlier, we are kind of estimating, and this is estimation is based on feedback that people have given us who are reviewing the applications, that we will have completed applications by next Wednesday. Some of those might need a second review or technical assistance, but that first review will be done by next Wednesday.
Can I ask a question? This is Hubert.
Yep. Go ahead, Hubert.
Why are we doing the largest counties last? I don't understand why that is, because I feel like Multnomah County should be first. Because first of all, we're dealing with communities that this whole measure was set up because it's supposed to be helping communities that were most impacted by the war on drugs. And I'm not being biased. I'm just saying what it is, right? And so we should be getting to the counties where that's been most impacted. The communities that's most impacted should be getting funds out right now, and I don't think we're doing that by doing these counties that are like small and out the way. This is just my opinion. I think if we do the biggest counties first and get the money out to the biggest counties, then we'll be more online with what this measure was supposed to do. That's just my opinion. I may be wrong, but I don't know.
Thank you for that, Hubert. That's what, and that's my suggestion. We still have 2 subcommittees and one, even if we don't start when the other subcommittee starts, that we have a team ready to tackle those big counties when they are completed to get that money out the door also. Steve, Morgan, Blue.
I'm sorry, Tisha, did you say teed me up? I think I wasn't first.
Were you responding to this question?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we are taking a hard look at Multnomah and the tri-counties. The reason that the smaller counties are ready first is frankly because there's fewer applications and we are able to get those completed sooner so that the voting could begin. But we're looking at strategies to get Multnomah and the tri-county applications done as quickly as possible. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Angela, there's, I think, 55 applications, so 110 rubrics alone for Multnomah County. It's super complicated, and the voting on that will be focused. It will need to be focused in a way, so at the point that it's ready, it might make sense, it would make sense to have a single committee focus on that, and it'll take a little bit to get through that county alone.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Morgan, and then Blue.
I think Blue was first, no? Okay. Oh, I just wanted to speak on Hubert's point. I got an email from a grassroots culturally specific organization in the Tri-County area, and I just wanted you to read. this is going to give me a stroke. I just don't think they understand what this is doing to clinics. And you know, this is one of the large counties. I understand the logistical complications, but the need is great everywhere. And just like, okay, I have a request. Like, accepting responsibility is like a tenet of my recovery and probably most people's recovery here on the call. Could I get OHA to accept a little responsibility? Because it's weird. Like the subtext here is this is somehow the OAC's fault. But if y'all would have told us back in November that on April 8th, we would be sitting here having this conversation with these timelines, not a single one of us would have agreed to this process. So it's just like, I know harm reduction and drugs, like that is my wheelhouse. That is why I was appointed to the council. I don't know grant making. That was OHA's duty, but you did not fulfill it. And the goalposts just keep moving. And I have like whiplash trying to keep up with this, but at no point do I hear an acceptance of responsibility from OHA saying, hey, we dropped the ball. And instead you're just kind of like, oh, well, the OAC chose this, but that is not true. We did not choose this. In fact, we had timelines laid out. We had a very clear process that was not this, that was not this. And so I just want to make sure that my fellow council members know this is not your fault.
Stopping the share so that we can all see each other.
Thank you for that, Morgan. I'm just keeping that time. We haven't really moved the ball anywhere and did any voting on and moving this process forward. So please keep your comments brief so we can please move past this process. I mean, into this process and get into action. Blue.
I'd just like to see if someone from OHA can maybe just take a tally and we can see which council members can commit to the subcommittees. That's going to give us a better idea of our total pot we're starting with and how many we would need to be able to vote. I think that might help us figure out the best way to move forward.
Then we got Steve, Caroline, and Amy.
I'm happy to respond to Morgan's point, but I didn't want to distract from Blue's request to the council. So just let me know when it's appropriate point.
Oh, please go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, but the point, please know that I hold myself accountable, and I'm happy to have the council and others hold me accountable as the key OHA representative supporting on this council and supporting this council. This council is extraordinary. I am so pleased and honored to be a part of the work that you all are doing. And in terms of lessons learned and mistakes made, we certainly have made our share of those. So I'm happy to be held accountable for all of that. And I think there's, after we get through this next phase, I think there's lots of opportunity to kind of look back and take a look at lessons learned, what we as an agency could have done differently to support you better along the way. And I'm happy to have those conversations. So thank you for that feedback. It's direct, it's on point. We have a role in where we are now, but I hope you also see that we are digging in and doing our best to support you as a council and the community at large to help ensure that this moves forward as it should.
Thank you, Steve. Caroline, Amy, and Anisha.
So this is Caroline. I want us to get away from this blaming. And I think lots of what has happened was the fact that we didn't listen to each other. And I wanted to go on record again is the fact that when you create a grant, RFP, where we had too many things in it, and we approved a Rubik's Cube with what, I think I counted it, it was like, I don't know, 300 and some little squares we have to fill out. We set ourselves up for failure. I don't want to go blaming Oregon Health Authority or blaming the council because it already happened. I think we need to focus on how we're going to figure this out and move forward and quit blaming. And I think we have to also understand is that anytime you apply for a grant, it's never a guarantee. And in fact, I'm very careful in terms of working with the tribes when we apply for grants, because they're not guaranteed. And that we always have to be careful and we can't depend on them. And so I know there's a lot of pain in this group, but if we don't focus on moving forward and coming to agreement to get over this, we could go back and try to look, we could do a SWOT analysis and what didn't work. But if we don't come to some agreement to move forward. And so I'm really concerned about the number of applications and the number of time that we have to commit to this process. Because some of us put too many hours in this whole process just to be told that it was no longer valid. I don't know what anyone did with the notes that we had submitted. I didn't know if people have to start from the beginning, but we're in chaos right now. And so we need to come to some decisions so we can move forward. And so if we have to go with the formula base and just give everyone a portion of the money so we could go forward, then we might have to do that. When this was suggested, people were saying, well, no, they're not going to take into consideration about the different issues that were out there. But we're in total chaos. I don't think the money's going to go out by June. And so I think we need to make some hard decisions and we need to stick to it, and we got to quit canceling meetings.
Thank you. Onisha, Amy, and then we really need to move forward. We have not got a process, and that's going to delay us once again if we don't get to voting on a process to move forward. Onisha, Amy.
I just want to make a motion to vote on whether we're going to use one subcommittee or two. And I want to make a motion to vote on whether that subcommittee can pick whether they want to work 2 days out of the week or 3. I don't know how to do that. That's what I want to do. I think 2 would be fast.
I'm down to vote for whatever's fastest.
Oh, she made a motion, just so we need a second. If so, I second.
I think she made 2 motions.
Yeah, it's unclear with the motion.
Okay,
is.
so I make a motion to vote that we choose 1 subcommittee or 2 subcommittees. I make a motion to.
So you got to choose one.
I want to have 2 subcommittees. Okay, I make a motion to vote to choose 2 subcommittees.
A second.
Sorry. I'll make a motion to vote that we have 2 subcommittees. Thank you, Melinda.
All right, we have.
Melinda seconded. Any discussion?
If you all can just shut up and play.
Walter, do we move to vote?
Move to vote. Let's rock and roll. Top of the list. You have 3 choices. Amy, how do you vote?
Yes, with the motion.
Okay. Blue?
Abstain.
Okay. Carlos?
There I am. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Caroline?
I had to step away from the office here, so can you tell me what the motion was?
The motion was that we have 2 subcommittees.
Okay, that's all we're voting on right now, just the 2 subcommittees?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Thanks, Caroline. Dharma?
Yes.
Thanks, Dharma. Aowen?
Yes.
Henry is not here. Hubert?
Yes.
Thanks, Hubert. Karen is not here. Keisha?
Yes.
Thank you, Keisha. Lana?
Yes.
All right, Lana is here. Leticia?
Yes.
Okay. Melinda?
Yes.
All right. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole?
Yes.
Onisha?
Yes.
Okay. Ron?
Yes.
Okay. Sabrina?
Yes.
Bam. And Zeb?
Yes.
Okay. 16 voting members, yes, 1 abstain. That passes.
Wonderful. At this time, would you all like to establish and vote on who will be a part of those subcommittees? We discussed with DOJ the need to have a firm list of the members of each of the subcommittee so that we can, one, establish what quorum will be, and two, grant the authority to that set of people to make the decisions for each of the subcommittees.
Is there
Can I make a
gonna be
motion?
one subcommittee?
I would like to make a motion that we dedicate one subcommittee to the tri-county areas.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can I feel like that might even be like 70% of the population of the state or is that about half? Like, is that half of the applications come from the tri-county or is it even more than half? Because if it's more than half, maybe it's slightly different.
No, I did tri-counties. It was 55 applications I did.
Okay, then that's great. Yeah.
Blue.
So my only discussion is, will that leave the other subcommittee too with too many to do on their own? That's my only curiosity.
If I may have a moment to count, I can give you some numbers to help you make that decision. I'll maybe leave the discussion to Blue and Sabrina and do that count as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Angela.
Blue, Sabrina, Blue, I'm sorry, Blue.
I'm just a little concerned that if one subcommittee is not meeting until the rubrics for the tri-county area are complete, we're not going to be moving as fast as we can. I would like to still see, I don't have a problem with one subcommittee focusing on the tri-county area when those are ready to go and you can just, jump into them, but it doesn't make sense to me for us to vote to have two subcommittees and then one just, slowly moving along because the other one's waiting on the tri-counties. I would like to see everybody pitching in on all of the applications so we can move as fast as possible. But like I said, once the tri-counties are ready to go, I don't have a problem with the subcommittee focusing on that. It just doesn't make sense to me for them to only focus on that because I think that's going to slow us down.
I don't think it would slow us down. I mean, the tri-counties could commit more hours when they're all done to complete them as fast as the other. I don't know. I don't predict that it would be a slower process, but I know it might be more time consuming.
This is Ron. I'm on my phone. I don't know. I can't raise my hand. I just wanted to agree with Blue and say that I guess the amendment to the motion would be once the tri-county area applications are ready or the rubrics are ready, but because they're not ready and they're the most complex. So I would still want to have two subcommittees, but then have a focus subcommittee on the tri-county area once those rubrics are ready for council deliberations.
Right. So would I put more weight on the second subcommittee to do the other counties and then be dedicated to the tri-counties also?
But I thought the tri-counties were supposed to be done on Wednesday. That's the email we received. All the counties are supposed to be done by Wednesday.
Is that correct, OJ?
Sabrina got her hand up and Amy.
Yeah, that was just my concern because I didn't really hear that they said the tri-counties would be done on Wednesday. I thought only the littler rural counties would be done by Wednesday. So that was my misunderstanding. But I agree if we say if the tri-counties are.
You muted, Sabrina.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. I was just concerned about if the tri-counties are not completed right now, what would that subcommittee do in the meantime? Because I didn't hear them say, and maybe I'm wrong, that they would be completed by Wednesday. I thought that was just a handful of smaller counties that only needed like one more to be completed, like Polk, Klamath, and another couple. I didn't see tri-counties on that list. So I would be hesitant to vote for one devoted for the tri-counties until that time came about.
Amy. And it's 120 tri-county applications out of 300 and what, 30?
So as these counties are getting done, right, then we're coming together as subcommittees voting on the counties as they're coming to us. I don't see why we can't work as a team and get these busted out. Tri-counties or not, we're gonna have to look at everything, you know, together eventually. But let's get these,
We
oh, we're
won't.
not that way? Okay, then
No.
cool. Let's just get these done. Let's not think about the large this and the small that. Let's get them done instead of worrying about that. Angela's gonna give us our numbers, and I get it. Okay. And
Right.
rural counties are smaller. Okay, they're spread out. I get it. They're gonna be done. That's quick. So then we can all focus on the tri-counties instead of just one subcommittee focusing on tri-counties. We could all help and get it done faster. That's what I'm saying. If we get
Okay, I
the
make
color
a
out
motion.
of the way.
Hold on. Let Angela give these numbers real fast and then
My thing is, and I've had my hand up
Mhm.
several times, somebody took it down, I put it back up. I want to vote on, I'd like to make a motion to vote on the timeline, why Angela's getting numbers. Let's get that out of the way, because we were supposed to vote on that today. Can we do that?
we're not voting on a timeline.
I thought you were voting on number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I thought we were voting on that today. Do you remember when they showed us and I said that I recommended that we had this meeting today so that we could vote on what we wanted to do for going forward if we wanted
Oh,
to.
the third.
Right, we needed to vote on that. That's
Right.
why we had to call this meeting, because we couldn't vote on it in special session. We have to vote
Right,
on
and
it.
part of that is the subcommittees is in there.
Right, so we have 2 subcommittees. We voted on that, it passed. So now can we vote on which one we want to do and get that over with? Why Angela's getting the numbers? Is that
Got
something
'em.
we
She got
do?
the numbers.
Got
They
the
got the
numbers.
numbers, sorry.
So it's about 175 of the total 333 outside of the Portland Metro Tri-County area. So it is relatively evenly split between the Tri-Counties and other parts of the state. But it is true that as of now, soon it will change, but as of now, we don't have complete Tri-Counties. So it is an option to have one subcommittee focus on all of those, but also we could just roll them out as they come. You know, this week we have 5 more counties ready. Split them up between the 2 groups and let them move them forward. So, I mean, up to you all to make the final decision, but if we pace ourselves with what comes through, the likelihood is that we would be able to move things more quickly rather than having any of the subcommittees sitting and waiting for rubrics to be completed.
Anisha and Carolina.
I make a motion that we split up the 2 subcommittees for the next week, starting Monday, whenever we meet again, that we split up what's done. And then by the second week, in good faith, the tri-county should be done and we'll just take over.
You muted, did you complete what you were saying?
The tri-counties. Yeah, I made a motion that we split the 2 subcommittees, split all the counties that are done now. Because he said there's a certain amount ready to be reviewed right now. We could split them for this following week. And then hopefully OHA will have the tri-counties done by the second week. And then we can just start focusing on the tri-counties. Because the tri-county should be done like the week of, I don't know, what's today, the 7th? So if we start working, split up and we start working on Monday, what is left, Then by the next following Monday, that's a week from now, they should have the tri-counties done. By the next Monday, we should be able to focus specifically on tri-counties.
So I already made a motion and we are in discussion. So you can't make another motion on top of a motion.
Oh my.
Caroline?
I think I want to make sure that folks understand, again, I seem to have trouble understanding because of all the conversation that's going on. So Angela said we had 175 that are completed and ready to go. All the
No,
rubrics,
that's not
not,
what they
that's
said.
not what you said, Angela?
175 are outside of the Portland metro area.
Okay.
The total that we have finished and ready to go is 324 rubric evaluations out of 666.
Oh, 666.
Mhm.
So yeah, again, I think we need to be realistic. I don't think we could be choosy. I think we have to start as soon as they come out. We need to review them to move it on. I don't agree that Eastern Oregon is going to be less complicated than the metro areas. I read most of the Eastern counties and they were very complex. And I read Eugene, and they're just a different area with different, I think, areas that they focus on. So if we need to get this done, I don't think we should be just waiting. We just need to take them in as they come and review them and split them from the two committees as they come along, whether it be Metro, may it be Eastern Oregon, or may it be any, because if we start waiting for just one or two counties, we're going to get behind again. I mean, if we're all reviewers, then we need to just take them as they come. And I mean, that's my discussion, you know, to add, since I don't know what the motion is anymore, the real motion, because we talk too much afterwards. So I just want to make sure what motion we're voting on.
So the motion was that we dedicate one subcommittee to the tri-county areas.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean.
That was the only motion? And we went.
That was the only motion.
Okay.
That I second the motion.
Melinda already seconded. Melinda
So we
already
can vote on
seconded.
that.
Melinda already
Oh, we
seconded.
need to vote. Okay. Okay.
And that doesn't mean that we can't work on the other ones as they come in, but it's it's a lot of applications that need dedication, and we can be working in tandem with the other counties.
Okay, so dedicating it, but they can still work on other counties if they come in before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We can't understand what you're saying. Your service. Onisha.
No, I wasn't saying nothing. I was just ready to vote on your motion and Melinda second.
All right, Blue, and then I think we can move to vote.
Again, I'm just a little concerned that at some point we may get to a place where the only applications that are left are the tri-county area. And if we're going to dedicate only one subcommittee to that, then that means, again, we will be moving slower getting through all of those. And so I feel like that there should be some flexibility in terms of being able to help each other out so that we can essentially have two subcommittees working on applications no matter where they're from throughout this process. Otherwise, it's going to take longer and get slowed down, and that concerns me.
Can we have a clarity from Angela when OHA will have the tri-counties completed?
We got a few more things to vote on too, actually. So,
well, I mean, that's what's getting everybody stuck. They're so scared that the tri-counties aren't going to come in till like a month from now. And then all the other counties are going to be done. And then there's just going to be this one little subcommittee to review.
But they can all hop on the other subcommittee if they're done. I don't understand why it's so hard.
Just as a point of clarity, in order to designate authority to a subcommittee, we would have to have the members of that subcommittee selected and set. And so they would not be able to change. So we would set one subcommittee with this set of people, one with this set, and they would work together in tandem. But if, for instance, all of the other applications were finished outside of the Tri-County area, that would mean that that subcommittee was done with their work. So they would not be able to jump over and join the second subcommittee, because it's a set of people that have the authority designated to them in the subcommittee.
That's going to take a longer time because
We don't know that it's gonna take a longer time. I mean, when the tri-counties
all
come
right.
in, they can do 8 hours a day. I mean, they can plummet through it. We're talking about consequences that are not even there.
We
Like,
gotta do due process to get this done, so let's vote.
man. It's this almost the same amount of applications, period. So.
But can I just ask, Angela made it sound like this part was like optional, like as long as we authorize 2 subcommittees, do we need to add the additional specificity of which counties they're working on? Because if not, we should just like, we know we want one to focus on the Tri-County, but we don't need to vote on that and make it a super rigid rule if we don't have to. Let's not add additional rules and steps if we don't have to, right?
Yeah, because it sounded like Angela said if we vote on that, then we can't help the other people and they can't help us.
That's what she just said. That's why I don't want to vote on that.
But it's still an even amount of applications, period.
But it's creating extra rules and bureaucracy that isn't
It is,
that
and
isn't
it's not
needed.
going to work. It's not going to work, Keisha.
We don't know that. Tri-counties could meet for 8 hours a day when they all come in for a week straight. We don't know that. It's the same amount of applications. Just the time frame is different.
But because the time frame is different, flexibility would benefit us here. We can stay more agile if we don't assign ourselves to counties. We need agility here. Equity
Right, and we
depends on
also need
urgency.
some dedicated time to the Tri-County areas who has a whole lot of applications, and we need dedicated folks to be reviewing them and getting that money out the door also.
I agree
So
with
if
that.
you have 2
Both things are
committees, then
true.
we're both dedicated, Keisha. That's what we're trying
That's
to
what
say.
I'm saying. It's the same amount of applications. They're just not, the counties just aren't complete today at the same time, but it's the
And
same
so-
amount of applications.
But I feel like you're saying, this is what I'm hearing you say. We need to focus on Tri-County when it comes out as much as they come, as fast as they come out. I get that. But what I hear you saying is you want one specific committee to focus on that. And when the other committee is done with their applications, they're not able to help with the large amount of applications through the Tri-Counties, right? That's what's happening. But what I'm saying, and I feel like what I'm hearing Morgan say, is that we want both committees to be able to help roll these applications out as they come out. We don't want to be said, oh, well, you can't help with this because we're Tri-County now. We don't want that
Chaos with this
limitation put on.
committee.
That is not what needs to happen.
Total
We need to
chaos
work
with this
together as a
committee.
committee and get
And I
all of
should
these
be on
done.
that waiver. You're not on that waiver committee? Or
So I feel like what we need to be voting, what I'm hearing us say is there's a conflict in the understanding, and that yes, Tri-County is very important and we need to get those done as soon as they come out, but we need to have both committees available to work on all applications at all times, because as they come out, they can roll out. Now, if you want to send Tri-County to subcommittee number B, then go for it. But what I'm saying is when number A is done with everything they're doing, they can help B. And I think that's an acceptable approach.
Okay, let's see what Angela needs to say. And
so what I will say is that just to clarify, Amy, again, the subcommittees are a set of people that are determined, and they're not able to hop over to the other subcommittee to help. So set A is a determined number of 7 people, let's say. Set B is also a predetermined number of people. So if this is my thought, if we designate one as the tri-counties are not yet finished, and we have an estimation that they will be done by midweek next week. But if there are any delays, that would delay being able to start work. If we go by what is available each week, then we can move them forward regardless of what is done and what is not. So those are just a couple of thoughts that I have to consider around designating specific counties to specific subcommittees. Does that make sense? Like, one option would be tri-counties are for this subcommittee, the rest of the state is for this subcommittee. If that is the case, right now, only one of the subcommittees would be able to begin work next week because we don't yet have the tri-counties complete. If we take them as they come, we can start rolling out whatever counties are right now available and get moving on those, regardless of what the designation is. So there's options. I again leave it to you all to make the final decision, but just a couple of thoughts to consider.
Dharma and Carolyn.
Okay, everyone take a deep breath. I think, Angela, the reason why we're confused is because we're told we did not have an option, that once we're assigned to a subcommittee, we're stuck there. And I think that's where the confusion, and now you just had said there's another option of taking them as they come. And so we don't know who's creating the rules. And I think that's the reason why it's kind of hard for us to vote. So I think that's the reason why I guess some of us are feeling a little bit uncomfortable, because we have a motion that just says that we want to put the Tri-Cities underneath one of those two committees. And that's the only motion that's on the table. We didn't look at all the other variables. And so I guess we could go ahead and vote because there's a motion on the table, but the reality is the fact that we're going to be stuck once we vote. And I think that's the reason why we're confused. We don't know what the final, we don't know what the final thing that we're talking about because we've got too many variables. So we do have the option of just taking them as they come. And we're not stuck with the A or B, and once you're assigned. And when you're saying we're assigned, you're assigning them by your definition of complete is the whole county is complete.
Correct.
Not just what's been reviewed, but the whole county is completed. Is that how you're determining what's complete and what's not? Okay.
Yes, county by county.
Okay.
And we do have available here today DOJ, and DOJ can help if it would be useful to clarify some of the details of how subcommittees are created and given authority, if that would be useful at all.
Right, because if we take them as they come, the tri-counties are still going to fall to the end of the line, and that wouldn't be equitable at all. But DOJ.
Keisha, this is Dawn. Sorry, not DOJ, obviously, but if we take them as we come, that does not mean that Multnomah County and the Tri-County has to come at the end. We will have focused energy, and that is our plan right now, to have focused energy, and we can get the Tri-Counties to a subcommittee. I want to say it will not be at the end is what I'm going to commit to. We are working really hard to get those 120 applications reviewed so they can go to the subcommittee within the next week and a half or so. So it does not mean that it has to be rolling. Y'all can tell us to focus on that area, and we're already doing that to make sure that you have that available to start reviewing.
Thank you. Dharma and then Onisha.
I apologize, folks. I was just looking for clarity on what the current motion is that we're voting on. And I really would like to see the county funding formula today. So I feel like if folks feel like this has been finished discussion that we could move on to vote.
Onisha?
Yeah, I just think that we should be able to vote on whether we want a tri-county submitted committee so we can move on to other business. And that the fear of the way that the timeline has been prevented from the tri-counties not being complete, I think that's where some of the fear is coming from, because it was like the subcommittee would agree and then the larger committee would get an input. But just a reminder that that's no longer the case. These subcommittees will make final approval and the rest of the committee will not even get any input at all. So.
And Morgan, and then we're gonna, yeah.
Yeah,
So one more thought, I'm sorry. So if we are gonna split it up, I would just ask that we are intentional to make sure that that both the subcommittees are intentional to being culturally specific to the Afrocentric programs in the tri-counties. If that's the way we have to go.
Hey, Morgan?
Yeah, so on that, I think we're getting confused because like we need to form subcommittee A and subcommittee B. So we're authorizing 2 subcommittees. Then us individual council members will be assigned to either A or B. But we don't need to create a hard rule assigning each county, the counties to either A or B. What I would like to see is a value-based guidance saying that one, either A or B, is mostly dedicated to the tri-county area, specifically like the Afrocentric and culturally specific programs that you just mentioned, but have that be value-based guidance and not a fixed rigid rule. So all we need to do is authorize 2 subcommittees right now, A and B, and then the council members will be assigned to either A and B, and then we can move on. But we know that, let's say subcommittee A has that value guidance for culturally specific.
I like
What I think Angela was saying was they need concrete names on who's going to be on which subcommittee. So I'm a little unclear on that.
So if I was on a subcommittee before, am I still going to be on a subcommittee? That's what I want to know.
And everybody is going to get a chance to say, yes, I want to hop in there and be on the subcommittee.
Y'all killing me.
So what we could do right now is make the list of who would like to be on the subcommittees, collect all the names, and
Not in
then
the middle of a
can...
motion.
Oh, I apologize, Keisha.
So the motion was that we have with that one subcommittee be dedicated to the tri-county areas and the other subcommittee be dedicated to the other counties. What was I gonna say? What we heard was it's the same amount of applications. And hopefully by next week, we'll be starting the tri-counties. Melinda seconded, we had discussion, I guess we vote.
Let's rock and roll. Okay. Everybody clear on the motion. So I'm going to start with you, Amy.
No.
On the top. Okay. All right. Oops. Blue.
No.
Carlos.
No, no.
Caroline. Caroline?
Thinking.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go with no.
Okay.
I'll die, y'all.
Dharma?
No.
Aowen?
No.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Karen's not here. Keisha?
Yes.
I Uh, wow. I think unfortunately, no.
Okay. Leticia, Leticia? Okay. Melinda, how do you vote? Melinda, can you hear me? Morgan?
No.
Nicole?
My vote was yes. Sorry, I couldn't get it off mute.
Okay, hold on just a second. Gotcha. Thank you. All right. Nicole?
No.
Okay. Onisha?
Yes.
Ron? Ron's on his phone. Ron, are you there? He's not. Okay.
Ron's gonna abstain.
Okay. All right. All right. Sabrina?
I would have to abstain as well.
Okay. Zeb?
I had to abstain as well. I'm still a little confused about the exact details.
Okay. The vote does not pass. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 no's, 3 abstentions, and 1 not available.
All right. So at this point, we could make a list of people who would like to be included in one subcommittee or the other. We could continue the discussion around how you would like to divide things up, or we don't have to designate a division at this point. There are options. We have about a half an hour left in the meeting, and I know that there is some discussion of the formula that we were going to share with you, as well as voting on the suggested changes to the process. So I just wanted to put those thoughts out as points that we would like to be able to cover today if possible. Does anyone have any thoughts on what you would like to do next?
Amy's hand is up, but yeah, that was kind of, yeah. The way that vote went is a little uneasy for me.
So I'd like to move forward, and I understand votes are hard sometimes when they come out different, but let's move forward. Can we do the committees, people that want to serve on the committees by the show of raising hands or whatever you want to do, Angela, and move forward with this meeting?
We got more hands too.
Mm-hmm.
Onisha.
Yeah, excuse the kids in the background, but yeah, due to like Carolyn pointed out, it's not one person's fault, but due to our lack of planning, and by this being a new process, once again, we're looking at culturally specific program and absolute power, where there may not be a culturally specific person of that culture to make a decision. And so I just want to point that out and go on record about that fear. Before, when we had more time, our initial plan was that there would be subcommittees, but everything would come back to the full council vote to talk about things that people don't understand. But now that the subcommittees have absolute power, potentially we just created a policy where culturally Afrocentric programs will be ruled and created policy on, and Afrocentric people will not be present, could potentially not be present if we don't make a decision to ensure that that happens when we build these subcommittees.
Onisha, I appreciate what you
is
just
up.
said, but I find that very offensive.
Well,
I want to say that sorry, go ahead, Anisha.
So I'm not trying to be offensive, but that's just like me being half Black and half Indigenous. My mother is full-blood Native American, but does that make me, I wasn't raised by my mother until later on in my life. Does that make me an expert that I need to know what Indigenous culture needs to be for people in treatment who were born and raised on the res, who are born and raised on the city and were born and raised traditionally? Do I know, can I go to Nora and say, this is what they need to do that's going to be healing for them? No, I cannot, because I'm ignorant to that culture. So it's not meant to be offensive. But Afrocentric people are dying in our community, and too many people are fearful of our culture and will not think of them in their best interest. And do you think the people on the committee are going to call us up and say, what do you guys think and value? No, because now we're all in a rush because it was poor planning on everybody's part.
So
I'd like
I feel your
to,
passion.
if I can, I'd like to say that, you know, what racism and white supremacy is the material reality of how health systems have worked here. But also, I had suggested yesterday, and this I think will attend to what you're talking about, Anisha, because of these like serious concerns of equity that are built into the system, we should retain an ability as the full council, not the subcommittees, to call for a further review of any approved decision. And this is specifically to deal with these issues of equity. This will allow us to have an extra layer of review and accountability if we need it by like a majority vote consensus. And this doesn't mean that we have to do this for every county, but if there is issues of equity that arise, if we are reviewing the decisions made by the subcommittees, this will allow us to, I think, to attend to those issues of equity that Anisha is talking about.
Sabrina.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we voted or if we need to vote to have the two subcommittees, if we voted or if that's concrete as of now.
The two subcommittees are concrete. Now, the way they are staggered, we don't know. That's what can cause the unintended consequences.
And just to jump in, the process hasn't been voted on, which is another thing that requires this council's vote.
I think Morgan is up next. Keisha, she can't raise her hand.
Morgan.
It looks as though we may have.
She might have jumped
Morgan.
And tried to jump. Okay. We can proceed.
I was wondering, do we need more discussion before we vote on the process, or could we put a motion on the table to vote the process in?
I don't know that did we see the process?
I can put the slide back up if that would be useful. Sorry, it's taking me a moment here to get to it. There we go. So back to this slide. This is the visual representation, and I see Steve's hand, so I will pass to Steve.
Thanks, Angela. What would really help us at OHA today is if the council can vote on two things. One is this process. We heard pretty loud and clear that this was the process that the council supported, but it needs to be voted on because it's a change in the way things currently work, and to form the number and composition of the committees. Until and unless those two things happen, we can't do business next week. So if it's at all possible, Dharma and others are interested in the formula. If we have a few minutes at the end, or we can send you that information afterwards, we have suggestions on how the formula would be constructed, but the council does not have to vote on the formula in order for us to move forward. Today, the council can return to that next week. But again, unless this process is approved and unless the number and type of committees that will be reviewing decisions are voted on today, we won't be able to take action next week.
Keisha, can I make a motion that we vote on
Real quick.
That's, oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm sorry, real quick. So you said we can't vote on the formula, but isn't the formula ingrained in this process?
Yes, Keisha. So on the formula, this is Steve again. This process includes a formula, but the council doesn't have to specify what that formula is today. We can delay that because no funding decisions will be made next week. So we can return to that. This says that there will be a formula, but you don't have to decide on how that formula works yet. Does that help?
But if we're reviewing applications next week, that would be a decision though, right?
So what will happen in the letters of intent, so once the council approves that, letters of intent can go out, but those letters of intent don't have a specified amount that will be funded. That has to be in this negotiation and contracting box that you see in May. So that'll happen afterwards. So that's why the council doesn't need to determine the formula itself today. That's why it can be delayed till next week.
Okay.
So does anyone need clarification on how this process would look?
Ron has a hand up. Ron?
Yeah, I'm just trying to be clear that the action before the council is to that we're considering, there hasn't been a motion, but is to allow the subcommittees to make the final decision on the awards.
Yeah, this is Steve. Ron, the application approval process that's in front, and you may not be able to see the graphic, includes that.
Right, that's what I thought we were talking about, or what I hope we're talking about. And but so I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that the OAC delegate authority to the subcommittees.
Ron, this is Steve.
I second.
Can I make a friendly suggestion before it moves forward? So the process in front of the council includes a couple of different parts. One is authorizing subcommittees to make the final determination. That's a change, but it also is anchored in having the formula. That process map in front of the group includes both of those things. So only voting on one of those then would require a second motion to approve a county-based allocation. So if you could decide to chop it up into two chunks or do it all in one, but up to the council.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying that the formula was going to be forthcoming in next week or something. I must have misheard that.
Yeah, Ron, the formula itself, the exact parameters of that, I think we would like to present that to the council next week. But having a new system that includes a formula-based it's what allows this process to move so much more quickly. So those two things go hand in glove, authorizing the subcommittees to make final approvals and having a formula-based allocation for counties. Those two things go hand in glove, and that's what accelerates the process.
So the motion would have to include the acceptance of a future formula.
Yes.
Blue has her hand up.
I see that, waiting for you to get done.
Okay, so yeah, it seems like if we can agree that there will be a formula, but we don't have to break down what that specific formula is today, but that we will as a council get to dive into that next time, it may make more sense for us to make a motion to approve this process, which is on the screen right now, rather than just a piece of it. But it does sound like the council will get to have input on the funding formula, but we don't have the time, and also we don't have to get into that today. So that's just my suggestion, that it might make more sense to go that way.
So Steve, what did you suggest that we vote on today? The process?
There's a current motion. Yeah, there's a current motion on the table from Ron. It would require Ron to make a friendly amendment to his motion that would include the process that the council is now seeing up on their screen, that has two essential parts. One is that it forms one or more subcommittees that are authorized to make decisions on awards, and two, that there be a formula-based county allocation, and those two things combined allows this accelerated timeline to occur.
Withdrawing my previous motion, making a new motion that the council OAC delegates authority to the subcommittee to make final recommendations on proposal funding, and utilizing the formula to be determined by the council.
I second that.
Discussion. Dharma, I seen you put something in the chat.
I don't disagree with this process. I just think that we need to add in some way for us as a full council to re-examine those decisions, especially around issues of equity, which would just be a separate motion. But that's all I wanted to say.
Onisha.
So my discussion would probably be a second motion too, but I think that we can create a system that will protect programs that does not have an Afrocentric lens for the Afrocentric programs. Can we at least, at minimum, require, when recommendations, like if a program is approved and then the subcommittee overrules that recommendation, it says, we see that both people have approved this program, but we don't think it's a good program and we're going to deny it. Can we take a second look at those? But if they're going along with the recommendations that were provided by OHA staff and by the Afrocentric people who did the rubrics on the council, then that's fine. Everybody's in agreement. There's no reason to take a second look at it. But if they look at a program and it was denied, I think that the council should be able to at least get an email. These programs were denied, and make room for some discussion or time for discussion about those programs that were denied or overturned if two people recommended them. And I don't know how we could do that. But I think that will not be as time consuming because there may not be too many instances of that happening.
I agree, Anisha, and I think that what I'm talking about, I think addresses that and allows us to optionally call for those extra reviews without slowing us down if there's no dissent on those decisions made by the subcommittees. I also think that this will just allow us to have that extra layer of oversight to Allison's comment in the chat too.
What was Allison's comment? Not everybody can see the chat.
I can read it out if that's helpful. It says that in authorizing the subcommittees to approve burn applications, we could include the language that, quote, subject to the OAC's ongoing oversight to the extent permitted and required by law, the OAC may withdraw or amend this delegation at any time. And that essentially just allows us to reconsider a decision made by the subcommittee. We could raise issues of equity. It doesn't matter what it is or which specific community it's about, but yeah.
All right.
Keisha, do you want to get to Onisha has her hand and Ron as well?
I was wondering if they still had their hand up or it was something new. Did you have something, Ron?
No, I was just kind of confirming with Allison that what she stated is doesn't require an action, or does that require an action?
So my suggestion would be to include that in the language where you're creating the subcommittees. I'll also note that the council, has the authority to change the delegation, create subcommittees, or remove subcommittees at any point. So that exists whether we include it or not. But I think it's helpful to make that clear here, and I think that may kind of address some of the points that people are bringing up.
Did you get what you needed, Ron?
Yes, I'm just trying to sorting out in my mind if that needs to be a part of the motion, or is that just understood as part of the discussion?
Yeah, I was a little unclear on the answer that Allison gave.
So I think it depends on which motion we're talking about, but I would recommend putting that into the language that creates the subcommittees. So you could adopt that language and vote to approve it, or you can include it in the motion, but I'd probably put it somewhere in there. Yes, I'd put it in the motion if you can.
I
To
think
the
Ron,
motion that we
Ron will have
currently
to
have on.
amend his motion. He already has a motion on the table. Or re-clarify it.
So how many motions are we voting on?
Hopefully one, but Ron has to restate it to include
Right,
what
so
Allison says.
so I am amending the motion to delegate authority to subcommittees to make final decisions on funding proposals with the use of the formula to be determined, subject to the OAC's ongoing oversight to the extent permitted by or required by law. The OAC may withdraw or amend this delegation at any time.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any other discussion points, or would you like to take a vote?
Let's take a vote.
I don't see any hands.
All right. Is everybody clear on the motion? I'm going to start from the top.
Again.
All right, Amy, you're up. How do you vote?
Yes.
Hey, thanks, Amy. Blue?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Blue. Carlos?
Yes.
Thanks, Carlos. Caroline?
Yeah.
Thanks, Caroline. Dharma?
Yes.
Thanks, Dharma. Elwin?
Yes.
Thanks, Elwin. Henry is not here. How about Hubert?
Yes.
Thanks, Hubert. No Karen. Keisha?
Yeah.
Okay. Lana?
Yes.
Thanks, Lana. Okay. Leticia?
Yes.
Okay. Melinda?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole?
Yes.
Thanks, Nicole. Onisha?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Thanks, Ron. Sabrina?
Yes.
Thanks, Sabrina. Zeb?
Yes.
Okay, vote passes with 17. Back to you, Angela or Keisha.
Thank you, folks. Well done. We have about 10 minutes left at this point, and we still need membership for the subcommittees that we're going to designate. We also have the 2 counties that the subcommittee previously voted on approval for recommendations, but not final awards. And it would be beneficial. We would be able to move forward with getting award letters out for those 2 counties if the council would like to ratify those votes and approve them to move forward. So if we can get to those 2 pieces today, that would help us move things more quickly.
I think maybe we should ratify the other ones that we already approved. I'm still unclear on the subcommittees. I'm uncomfortable with how it might fall.
I have raised my hand. I had a point of clarification. I wanted a clarification on the current subcommittee members continuing as the subcommittee. I mean, we have a current subcommittee. My understanding, we're splitting that committee into 2. Is that correct?
No, it's going to be everybody gets a chance to pitch in if they want to and be on a subcommittee. And if you currently are and want to continue, then you jump into. But like starting from scratch, who is going to be on these 2 subcommittees? Steve has something.
2 quick things. One is on the prior counties. I think that doesn't need the council's attention today. We would need to have an approved formula before we can move ahead with those anyways. So I think that can be next week's business. What we really need is the council authorizing 2 committees and who's going to be on them. That will allow us to move forward next week. And the council can determine a preference for one of the committees to focus on the Tri-County area per previous discussion, if that's an option that folks want to continue. But that's the 2 things we need to know. Are there 2 committees and who's on them?
Me.
How about I take a list of names of people
Can
who
we
are
do
interested?
hand raise function for folks wanting to serve?
I will collect names as quickly as possible. Thank you for your patience. All right, so what I have so far is Melinda, Leticia, Sabrina, Zeb, Blue, Ron, Morgan, Amy, Keisha, and Nicole. Did I miss anyone? I'm trying to toggle back and forth. I apologize.
Onisha.
Thank you.
Hubert better raise a hand. No, sorry.
All right, so at this point we have 11 people who are interested Are there any other folks who would like to take part at this time? All right.
I can't tell, but did we lose some folks?
Yeah, a lot of people hopped off, so maybe we should send an email too.
Mhm. I think some people did. I think we better, Steve made a nice, or
Raise
had
my
some,
hand. So there, I'm gonna get on the council.
okay.
Thank you, Hubert.
Hubert hand is
Yeah.
up too.
I raised my hand. All right.
Yeah. Steve, do you want to speak to it? I could read it. Steve says in the chat, should we capture whether volunteers have a preference for the committee that would focus on Tri-County if one of the committees is later designated to those counties when ready?
Yeah, I like that idea, Steve.
Can we do a second hand raise function for folks interested in Tri-County?
All right.
I'll be on whatever county I need to be on, just to throw it out there. I just don't want to mess up the vote.
I am working on capturing this for the Tri-Counties. Please hold for just a moment.
Steve, when we're ready, could someone please confirm if we still have quorum?
All right, I have the number. I have everyone who would like to do the Tri-County area if possible noted. So you are welcome to put your hands down at this point. So we have, and I can put these up on screen. We have what looks like 7 people interested in the Tri-Counties and 5 folks who would be able to provide assistance for the other counties. Would you like at this point to vote on this designation? And I'll put it up on screen. It's messy. I apologize. Oops. All right, and so our total list here is for everyone on one or the other. I'm gonna shuffle things around, but these are the folks who are interested in the Tri-Counties. And then, so that would be, let's say, subcommittee number 1, and then subcommittee number 2 would be remainder of the folks. So
Oh my God. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Shoot, never mind.
While you're doing that, Angela, just wanted to read Steve's comment in the chat that this is assuming that Tri-County volunteers do not have conflicts of interest.
all right. So we have here who would be in each of the 2 subcommittees. If I have missed your name, please shout out and I'll add it to one of the other lists. But I think that this is currently correct with what we are going for.
You missed my name.
Oh, thank you. Is it okay to put you down here, Zeb? Or did you, where would,
Subcommittee 2 is great.
thank you.
So
All right, so
subcommittee
that
1, but I'll go on 2.
Subcommittee 2 has 6 people now. Subcommittee 1 has 7. I think that could definitely work. So we have membership on the page. If you would like to consider these for a vote, if we still have quorum, we can do that.
I have a question about how votes work with an even amount of folks on that subcommittee. If there was a tie, what would happen?
That
Ooh,
is a
that's a-
good question.
Should we have Allison speak to that?
If Allison is available, that would be great. Another option, I think, was that the council has the final determination, so that could still hold.
I can speak to this. So in terms of the number of members, recall that it takes a majority of the subcommittee to make a decision. And so whether there's an odd number or an even number of members would just, change what the number would be for a majority. So it's I don't think that it would make a difference. It would just, we'd have to calculate out what the majority is based on what the total number of members are.
Right, but I guess the concern would come if there was a continual tie vote. Would that hold up that decision?
So in the example that we have, for example, like 6 members, which is an even number, we would need a majority to pass and make a decision. So that would be 4 concurring votes. So I don't know if we would have a situation where there would be an even split like that. If there was, and there wouldn't be a majority met to make the decision.
I guess, could we add a caveat that if there's an unresolvable tie in the subcommittee, that the vote would go to full council? I don't know how else we would streamline that if necessary.
Well, I guess I'm not seeing
good solution.
Oh yeah, sorry. I guess I'm not seeing a situation where there would be a completely split vote, because it requires the majority of members to agree in order to pass the motion. So if you had a situation where it was an exact even split, there wouldn't be a majority, and it wouldn't there wouldn't be a passing vote. So
and that's my concern, is that it would just repeatedly, if we have the first subcommittee, if they tie in their vote, then nothing gets approved, but then we can't move forward, was my concern, more than it being passed or not.
Got it. Yeah. So then I guess there is the option, like we talked about in the motion, that the council could review that.
If the council was to review it, wouldn't that be a delay in process? Because we would have to have a meeting or wait for the next meeting. I'm just wondering, that would be a delay.
Yeah, so if the council wanted to vote on anything, it would have to occur in a public meeting. And so there would need to be time to do that.
Do we still have quorum, Walter?
Yes, we do.
Could we call in an OHA person to break the tie after they looked at it, or how would we do that, Keisha? What is your suggestion?
I don't think OHA is making any decisions on these, only council members, but I'm not sure.
Would you want to
We
bring
vote
in
on the
another
process,
council
and if
member?
we run into something, I don't know, like,
Okay.
I don't, all the ands, ifs, and maybes is delaying us again for a process to move forward, but I'm not sure.
Well, let's just go on, and then if we get to that bridge, we cross it.
We have a motion yet to authorize these subcommittees?
We do not yet.
Well, I'll make a motion that we authorize the subcommittees as presented.
I second that.
I third it.
Fourth.
Okay. Any discussion?
Just real quick, if anybody missed this, will we have to vote them on the subcommittee? Like if they had to drop off and didn't get to add their name, will we have to?
Allison can comment, but that would be my understanding. And I'm really concerned, Keisha, if we lose quorum, we can't authorize these two subcommittees.
That's fine. Oh, we'll have to vote.
Yeah.
I still didn't get an answer, but it's all right.
Yep. Maybe I should take roll really quick just to make sure that we have quorum. There's 28, my number's showing 20. So really fast, we'll go through the vote. I'm gonna do
I
roll.
counted
Go ahead.
16, so I think we're
okay.
good to go.
All right. Okay, let's get this vote started. Okay, Amy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thanks, Amy. Blue?
Yes.
Thanks, Blue. Carlos?
Yes, there's my camera.
All right. Thanks, Carlos. Caroline?
I'm sorry, but I've been reporting to travel-based practices behind me with the 115 waiver. You're gonna have to tell me what the motion was.
The motion is to approve these two subcommittees here on the screen. First one would have potentially likely a focus on the tri-counties. The second one would be working with the remainder of the state. So we have 7 and 6 people who are interested in being on each of those subcommittees.
I'm gonna abstain. I'm hoping that the people who were not on this call is gonna still have an opportunity to be able to be included in one of these committees. I don't know if that was stated or clarified, but I want to abstain at this point because I'm on 2 Zooms, and I apologize for that. But I did say I couldn't be in this morning meeting, so I'm trying my best to be on both.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I'll abstain.
All right. Hey, thank you, Caroline.
Eyes black with
Yeah.
sparkles.
Dharma?
Staying in the sun. It's
Dharma? Uh-oh.
Yes.
Sorry. All right, we're back. Thank you, Dharma. Eowyn? Okay. Henry? No. Hubert?
Yes, my phone died.
That's okay. All right.
All right.
Karen, no. Keisha?
Yes.
Did Lana just leave? Lana, are you still here?
I think Lana had to drop
She
off.
had to jump off. Okay. Leticia?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Leticia. Melinda?
Yes.
All right, Melinda. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole?
Yes.
Boom. Onisha?
Yes.
Okay. Ron?
Yes.
Bam. All right. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. And Zeb?
Yes.
Okay. We've got 14. And that is majority. That passes.
All right. Fantastic.
Okay. They're
I'm
staying.
eternally impressed by all of the discussion that this group is able to handle and also still come to conclusions together. Just thank you. That was,
Even though it's painful.
even though it's painful, I acknowledge that.
Hey, Angela, I just wanted to say something just to make sure, because Steve said something that was really important about there could be some possibilities of conflict of interest, and I don't know if we further discussed it. But just making sure.
We
from those
do
people.
have knowledge of everyone's conflicts of interest. Everyone signed a conflict of interest form at the beginning, so we do know, and we would follow the same process of staying present in the room, but declaring the conflict and shutting off the camera so that the process can go forward. All right, I see that several folks are needing to go. We weren't able to get to the formula today, but we will have a meeting of the full council next Wednesday. And at that point, we will be able to go over the formula and discuss more of the details. And we can also begin determining the schedule for the subcommittees to meet and start voting on the final awards.
And so also at the beginning of the next meeting, can we honor Sabrina fully when we're not rushed right now, and Welcome Blue at the top of the next agenda? So they
Absolutely.
can have due
Yes.
process. Thank you.
Thank
Right.
you, Angela and OHA staff, and recognize you guys for your patience and your dedication to this work. I know it is not easy, and I know you guys are fielding a lot of different things, and I just want to appreciate you for all you do.
Thank you.
Me too.
Appreciate you back. Thank you for all the love and energy that you keep putting into this all the time. All right. Well, I guess we're letting folks go now. So
Meeting
thank you so
adjourned.
much. Take
Until
care.
we
We'll
meet
see
again.
you soon.